lose, it's always their fault. You're always thinking, if
no,
I
don't
did
say it. That's the problem.
I don't say it. I know, but
That's why
this is competitive sports, isn't it?
Nah, I don't have a huge issue with it. It's a competitive when you're on the court, but off the court, you be gracious.
No, I agree. I agree. She should have been gracious, but I don't. The level of outrage towards her, I don't.
She said
I don't have that.
She lost because she made errors. Who made them? Who forced the errors?
No, wait, Louis.
Yeah, no, it's a fair
sorry,
point.
I'll disagree with you. She said she lost because she made errors. She also said the other woman would have come and beat her if it was. That's more than.
Oh no, that
a little bit.
That part. Yeah. By the way, I didn't know she said that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm just referring to.
She was giving bitter.
Yeah, no, she was.
I'm just referring to. If she says I did this wrong and that's why we lost.
No, but it's the way
I'm okay to.
She literally said explicitly. She said it's not because she did well.
Yeah,
she literally said it's not because she did well.
Congrats to Coco. I made loads of mistakes. I'm really disappointed with my performance.
Yeah,
she said it was windy.
There's another way you could have said it.
It was windy. It's not because of her.
Coco's just lucky that anyway.
You know what I'll compare it to? You know when Paul George was like, "That's a bad shot."
Yes. Everyone was like, no, it wasn't.
That's another embarrassing.
Yeah, that's a bad shot. That's a great comparison.
That's another embarrassing, man.
What was I gonna?
Sorry, more sports.
How much older is that lady then? Okay, you know what? Let's get started.
Coco's 21,
we really started.
I think. And also
21. I thought she was younger.
One thing about Coco,
I thought she was like 19 or 20.
One thing about Coco, her mum's a prayer. Do you see how she was praying during the game?
That is.
The prayers of a righteous man availeth much.
Innit?
Girl.
Yeah, man.
Availeth much.
Congrats to Coco. Where's the Brits at?
I think Coco's 21. I might come.
Yeah, she's a baby. I thought she was younger.
2004.
Even younger.
No, but how old is the other
21
lady?
is a baby. I thought she was even younger. 2004.
Yeah, she's
Crazy. Someone's an adult and they're born in 2004.
Crazy time.
Yeah, that's mad.
It's not good.
That's not even real.
That's very mad.
That's not even real.
Hold on, are we recording?
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Oh, what?
Hey, Charlemagne, are we live? So I'm going to do that every single time. I'm going to do that every
Not a
time.
second. That's the 7th.
I'll say that bare times.
Black Berea podcast episode, season 8, episode 5.
Woo.
Wow,
We got a full house.
Yeah.
Finally.
When's the last time we had a full house, guys?
Honestly, too long.
April the 28th.
When we were in that place, with that loud, noisy place.
Oh,
like
yeah,
this.
sorry.
By the way,
That's
wait,
episode 3.
guys, let's pause for 2 seconds, yeah? Can you hear that again?
Yeah.
More noise. Can you hear that again?
But obviously, it's a lot more enclosed though.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
the
this is
last
much
time
better.
it was crazy.
Yeah, I was in traffic last week.
Yeah.
Legend says I'm still there. I'm still in traffic.
Legend is just still there. How you guys been?
Hey, I'm alright. I
Yeah?
can't complain. Busy.
Tired, man.
Busy.
I'm tired as well.
No, I'm a bit tired, I can't lie.
What about you, Zoe? How you been?
Fine.
Don't wanna.
I've been good. Like, it's been an eventful few weeks. So I'm good.
Event in what way? Care to share?
No,
You said no.
not really. No, not that. This is so dramatic. I should have just been like, yeah, it's fine. I'm good. That's also true. It's fine. I'm good. Yeah.
Are you looking forward to summer? Obviously, we're in June now, so you're looking
I
forward
am.
to July.
I'm really
August?
outside this summer.
That's the plan.
That's the theme of the year. Outside.
Outside.
Hey, you guys
Heat
are-
wave
And I've been living
Wednesday.
up to my theme
Heat wave
so far.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm hearing
onwards.
it's going to be.
What,
very
from Wednesday
warm.
this?
Yeah, but by the time this goes out, heat wave.
Yeah,
We'll be in the middle of the
yeah.
heat wave.
I'm here for it. I
By
need
the
it.
time this comes out, it'll be raining.
No.
Don't say that.
Yeah, that's true.
No. But no, everyone's doing well.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, all
Okay.
good. All good, yeah.
I think today we decided we're going to speak about social media small.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually read, I'll ask you guys a question soon, but I read today that the government is considering introducing tougher online safety measures to limit the amount of time children can spend on social media.
Good.
So they're trying to see if they can have like 2 hours and then have like a curfew. What do you guys think about that?
Kids will get around it though.
Yeah, that's
they
If it was-
get around
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
I wish it's possible.
Yeah, it's just
If it was possible to enforce, I don't think they shouldn't not do it because it will be difficult to enforce, by the way. I think it's definitely worth trying, but I just think how effective it's going to be.
Yeah, it's worth trying, but it's also worth finding some kind of alternative.
Yeah.
So like, okay, you have to do this instead. Replace social media with reading or whatever. Like,
that would make them
Sit down.
go read books
Regimented.
more.
Oh, that's killing me. And
Tell kids to read. What are you talking about?
and how many hours do you guys spend on social media?
Too much.
Do you have it on your app? Like, do you have the
yeah, Femi knows. I've
About
got a
5
group
minutes
chat.
a day, me.
5 minutes a day.
I'm like,
Like, do you include WhatsApp in your social media?
No, man, come on.
I need the phone
That's
to
like
back
saying
WhatsApp
text.
out of those stats, because what I tend to do is at the end of every night, I don't even know if Femi reads it, but I send my screen time
I've seen it a
do
couple
you?
to a
times.
group chat.
that's-
Yeah,
Which group? As in, there's a group chat with
just a couple
that's
friends.
fantastic.
Yeah. Couple friends.
It's
and
giving
Femi.
accountability.
couple friends and families killing me.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and I'll send my screen. When I first started doing it, I can't believe I'm saying this, but when I first started doing it, I'll send it at like 9 p.m. I'll be like, I'll set my screen time now. I'm
And
gonna
it's
chill
like,
for like 2
finally.
hours. But yeah,
So what is it? What do you average?
Oh man, about 8 hours a day, you know, maybe more.
What, on your phone or screen? Oh, so screen
On my
time
actual
is-
phone,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
Oh,
I'm
that's
kind of.
fine.
I spend a lot of time on YouTube. Sometimes YouTube's in my pocket, or it's just hanging around the
Oh,
house. And I've got
YouTube
my
Premium.
earpods.
I shouldn't have agreed to that, man.
I don't have YouTube Premium, but I'm a serial YouTuber. You know, like it's bad. Like YouTube. I don't really listen to music. I'll listen to either a pod or like a YouTube.
Listen to
Something
a
on
lot of-
YouTube.
yeah,
Yeah,
something.
I've just been listening to Amory's Tiny Desk. I don't know if you guys have heard.
Oh really? Oh, I see
I've
clips of
actually
it.
heard
I'm a big,
yeah.
I'm a big
clips of it.
Amory fan, but yeah. Anyway, let me
You're a
not talk too
tiny
much.
desk fan as well.
Yeah.
And I'm a Tiny Desk fan, so when I start listening to YouTube Premium, you're like, there's no ads. So now when I go back, I'm like, no, I shouldn't have signed up for this.
Fuck.
What about you guys? What's your screen time?
I actually don't know, but it's bad. Like I wouldn't be surprised. No offense, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same. Like
And you spend a lot of time on, because you're not on social media at the moment. Are you? You're not on Instagram.
I am. So basically, I'm on it. So my profile's there, but every now and again, I just delete it for like a
Delete
week
for a
or
week,
2
yeah.
weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
I just have to. It's
Yeah.
too much on my phone right now.
What about you guys?
I'm probably the worst at all you guys.
What,
And it doesn't help that I
oh, do
spend.
you have a business as
I
well?
was gonna say that's different.
I am a
Top
content
five, top
creator.
five, top
I am a
five.
content creator, but that's not an
Top
excuse. That's not an excuse. But because I spend a lot of time on the train, I travel a lot, yeah, as well. So that's just like excuse for me to be on my
have a book in
phone.
your hand.
I could, but I don't.
The thing is that I have a book in my bag all the time, but I just
I
don't.
could, but I don't.
I'm just going to be on my phone. I'm either messaging, voice noting.
Yeah, I was gonna say Zoe loves the voice.
I love a voice note. A 20-minute podcast between me and my friend. That's the voice note. But yeah, so like I'm just always on my phone, and I don't like it. I don't like it as a reality, but it doesn't change the fact that I do it.
Yeah, I stay on my phone. I'm not gonna lie.
You have to, because even my friend was like, "Oh, Mary, you go on walks all the time. Like, do you ever like just leave your phone at home?" And I was just thinking, "Why would I do that?"
Why on earth would I do
That
that?
feels like a
At the
safe
same
issue.
time, it would be sick if I could do it.
Guys, this is a safe space, yeah. There's been times where I've been late to work, yeah. I walk into the station and I forgot my headphones. I'll miss my train to go back and get my
To be
headphones.
fair, I don't know people who, but
hear it.
I'm
I'll
extra.
just be sad.
So like I have like in my bag I have a spare headphones.
pair, yeah, I
I don't
heard it.
leave my bag.
I hear it.
So
I hear it.
so even things like I can never be without headphones.
Yeah, that's like me. Like I'm proper. Even damn, like one time I went home and my wife was like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "I forgot my headphones." She's like, "You can just go out of it." No, what can I? So I can go listen to the kids on the train.
I'm not
That's
leaving.
Crazy.
I'm not leaving, and I have my I'm not leaving anywhere. What's funny though?
That's crazy.
I'm laughing because there's different things that people keep, like just in case stuff. Like
My headphones has to be. Now Mary said that, I'm going to do the
I
exact
don't have a
same
spare
thing.
pair of headphones in my car.
I'm going to do the same thing now.
Yeah, because basically when I go, sometimes you know when you drive somewhere and you leave your car and you don't have your headphones. So I was like, oh my days, and then so I started keeping a pair of headphones in my car. So when I
That's
need
crazy.
it, I just put it in my head. I was like,
You know
yeah.
what Mary does? She gets in her car,
I'm
puts her
laughing.
headphones on.
there's so many other things that people do that with. I've never heard headphones. That's why I'm
I have a
actually.
spare
calculated.
pair of chargers in my bag as well, in my work bag.
Nah, I hear it.
When people are like,
chargers is
I left my charger at home. I'm
I
like,
should
why
have
do you
that.
have? Why don't you just have one in your bag?
I'm that person.
I'm
In fact,
that
does
person.
anyone have a charger? My battery's like 19%. I'm not even playing. Does anyone have a charger?
I'm
Zoe
done.
rates
I
us
don't-
it's like
I didn't bring my
4%.
bag, so
And then she's like,
I'm
yeah,
done.
they don't have a
It's
charger.
giving last one.
Then she's like, guys, I
sorry.
need to order Uber. Oh, it's dead. And I'm like, oh, this girl. But yeah, that is too funny. But yeah, because I think what made us decide to talk about this topic was, I mean, there was two things. There was Elon versus Trump. Wait, are you man on a particular side or don't know if you're... Musk was like...
I think they're both
They're
wild.
both very,
He's an
very
Epstein
scary
pal.
people.
He's an Epstein pal.
Yeah.
Also,
It's like, you've been working with him for how long, and now all of a sudden you want to come out and say,
I also think when two people are they have the same. I'm saying spirit, not even in a spiritual sense, but the same spirit. Two people like that can never. How did you think you'd be able to work together? Because there's only one person can be in that, can have that type of big headedness.
Yeah.
And if you're, yeah, I think it's fair to say that they are very dictator like or oppressive. Like there can only be one. So for you two people, it could never have been like this. Somebody's gonna squash. So I think that's been kind of like, not. I don't know how it would come out, but it's kind of like it was just a matter of
To
time.
be fair, I don't know the deets like that. Do you want to like tell the listeners like what are they beefing about specifically?
I don't even know.
I think there was what was the when Musk was working for Trump, he was what was the name of what it was called? Was it called
Doge.
Doge,
So
yeah.
essentially,
Doge, yeah.
okay, we all know that part.
Yeah.
A little bit, but
So-
no.
Department of Economic.
Governmental efficiency.
The
So
efficiencies,
Musk's aim was to reduce government spending,
Yeah.
federal spending. So basically, he went in and just cancelled a whole load of federal contracts and all of that stuff. And he
actually
considers
shocking,
his job
by the way.
done. And now he's like, okay, time to go.
Well, of course, it's because Tesla's market was plummeting.
Apparently, that was part of it as well.
People just stopped buying Teslas
But-
in like retribution, basically.
And people were trying to blow up Teslas and stuff, like all sorts
Yeah,
of
that's
stuff.
crazy. Yeah,
But then I think the main issue was last week or a couple of weeks ago, Trump, so he's announced some kind of huge spending bill, which Musk is not happy with. So he was throwing a few hints out on Twitter, and then he was like, one day he was like, I'm sorry, I can't take it anymore. That bill's disgusting. It's this, it's this, it's that. And then Trump's come out and said something, and then Musk is like, he said one or two things. And you know, the crazy thing was, I deleted X
on Twitter
and Instagram for a few like weeks just to like take it easy. I was like, do you know what? Let me just re-download X to see what's going on. I re-downloaded it, and the first thing I saw was, hey guys, Trump is in the Epstein files. And I'm like, rah.
Did you then see Kanye West? Because that's, by the way,
like,
that's a crazy free. He said, no, brothers. Why can't we all just get along?
No, I think Kanye West is thinking, guys, the attention was supposed to be on me. What are you guys doing?
The three of them have a similar,
it was
not the same power, but the same.
Very, very interesting, especially how both of them have actually now used social media for it as well. So like now he's a lot of Elon is just retweeting and reposting what other people are saying and
about Trump.
Trump is able to go on his own platform and use media generally.
He's still excluded from X, by the way.
Pardon?
Trump.
Is he what?
Does he have an X account?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember he was kicked off at the time, but it was probably before Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I don't think Elon would even believe in doing stuff like that anyway. And of course, I think the other reason why we wanted to talk about it was this is probably more in like the reform conservative
Just such
spaces,
a strange situation.
But there was
very strange.
breaking news kind of statement that was released by G3, which are an organization. They do like conferences, and the elders at this guy's church called Josh Buse. And he was Josh Buse, and it was revealed that he had created some fake online profiles on X and kind of different blog posts in kind of disparaging some of his fellow conference speakers and his elders at his church as well. And he was asked to resign. I think they had basically presented it to him over 2 years and said, is issue that denied it a few times, and then I think they were able to find kind of like undeniable evidence, and then he had to resign. And of course it was sinful, deeply divisive, and it was just generally strange.
Also quite strange, yes.
He would kind of, and I think the only thing I could liken it to is like sports reference, but like KD is a basketball player who was found years ago kind of creating fake burner accounts online.
Insult his own teammates.
No, he did. He spoke about Westbrook.
But a lot of it was kind of to big himself up, to be fair. Like,
and like go against fans that made
himself.
like bad comments. Like most of it was against trolls.
Yeah. So like, imagine if you was, I don't know, like a popular person, and then people were like, Zoe can't sing. She's like, and then you'll be like, she's the greatest singer in the world. But it's quite strange that he would create fake profiles in a way to discourage.
Multiple.
Yeah, so he was discouraging like fellow conference speakers at his conference that he's a president of, and fellow elders in his church.
Employees.
Very strange.
Yeah, just
and accusing them of like really bad things.
What was
or basically
worse?
encouraging people not to trust them.
Yeah. And then what was worse is that he would write something with a fake profile, and then he will reply to that fake profile on his real profile and be like, what are you talking about? That person's innocent.
That's genuinely very
stoking
scary.
Stoking a fire quite a lot. Yeah, but it's interesting because when I saw it, I was just thinking, wait, this is weird. So I thought it was fake. Because again, like, it feels like you can't trust anything. Because a lot of like troll pages as well, like just create fake information. So when I went into it, I was just, and I don't really know much about this guy aside from the fact that he's president of G3. And maybe like 10, 15 years ago, some of my friends went to his conference in Atlanta. So when I read it, I was just thinking, this is just weird.
Yeah, that's the immediate reaction. Really strange.
So like, taking them to like obviously random and kind of opposite stories of Musk and Josh Buse, has resigned. He's issued some apologies and been repentant as he could be of like knowing that this what he's done is wrong. Like, what are the lessons that you guys have like taken from this? Why does it look so scary?
Because I don't. It's so like, to me that is actually terrifying.
Oh, for sure.
It's so scary.
Yeah, for sure. It is for sure.
Yeah, so that's probably the main thing in my head. That's not a lesson.
And it's quite satanic as well.
Yeah,
and I could remove the word quite. It is.
Satanic. Yeah, it's a satanic thing to do because that is literally Satan's work. That Satan's work is to divide, to insult, to accuse, to lie. Like, that's his language. So I think it's very disturbing, and I'm sure that we all can do it to a certain extent, not in this way, but to let the devil use you to do something. It's just such a wide scale. It's very weird. I remember when you put in the chat, I just said, this is so strange. Like, it's very weird. So yeah.
Yeah, I
don't know what my lesson is. That's my reaction, not my lesson.
to be honest, I wasn't like that surprised. So I'm not surprised that someone, maybe because I have the KD thing as a reference here, that someone could have burner accounts and do these things. It doesn't shock me,
and respond to themselves.
I mean, that's crazy.
And to shut down their own teammates.
Yeah. So the thing, my thing about that is, I feel like there's a culture of that. So not necessarily downloading a burner account and tweeting, but anything that he said on his Twitter, he's probably had conversations about with his family or his close friends that saying, "Oh, look at this guy. What's this guy preaching?" Blah 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 blah. These aren't conversations he's only having on Twitter. I doubt it. I sincerely doubt it. So it just feels like, this is going to sound really harsh, but a lot of that space is very just like, oh, I don't know. You know, I don't want to judge my man because I don't know his stuff. I've never listened to him. The first time I heard of him was this controversy. But people in that space, it's not far removed. Like I was saying, oh, this person is not preaching, or this person's doctrine is not good, or da 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 blah blah, or this is what. So
very clicky.
Yeah. So when I'm not that surprised. So I'm surprised by the burner account because that's crazy. But I'm not surprised.
Not one account, multiple accounts.
Multiple accounts. But I'm less surprised about what he was saying. So I just feel like there's a culture of that, or it seems to be like there's a culture of that. So maybe that's why I'm not so like, oh my gosh. It's just like, oh, this is what these guys do.
Yeah, I think I would have been less surprised if it was, because you're right. There is a camp, and there's a lot that disseminates from that camp about people who don't quite fall into the same theological circle as them. If he had gone at those people, then I would have been like, oh, like, okay, fair enough.
He's been doing at his own people.
Yeah.
So basically, imagine if one of us created a multiple burner accounts to disparage. Like, imagine I created burner accounts and I was like, Louis always saying this on the pod. Like, that's so strange. And I'm sitting next to you guys and I'm like, oh, when you guys coming? That's so scary.
What time are you free?
Am I bugging? Is that a fair
I think so. But I think it was also
very weird.
I think what was, because I think Todd Frill, he's like a YouTube pastor. He did some kind of video basically talking about like, this is kind of something that's happened over the years where I think he called it like a censorious nature of evangelicalism, where it feels like there's just so much division and disunity and everything is so if you're not on the same side, even if it's,
you're not even a believer.
So if you're not, I don't know, if you don't agree with me in how we view race and like justice, then
you're an error.
You're
false
on
teacher.
the other side. So like you can easily be on the same conference together, but because you don't agree with me in this small thing, we're now at loggerheads, and I think that's what always happens.
That's what I was going to say. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, the other thing I was going to say, I think I said this to you guys in our group chat. Only thing I'll say to Todd Frill, I agree with everything he said. It's just a shame it had to be said now. And not 5 years ago.
Agreed.
Or even 6 years ago, whenever the social justice statement came out and all of these things were happening. It's just a shame that it took someone in his circle.
It affecting him, essentially.
Yeah, for that to come out. But he's 100% correct. And when you look at, I guess, sorry, Evans, I know you're going to say something, but I guess when you look at what he did, I guess the primary word for me that keeps sticking out is slander.
Yeah.
And if you look at slander, it's very serious. Like the Bible talks about slander very, very seriously. So if you look at like Romans 1, for example, and all of the sins, there's a list of sins, I think from verse 18 onwards, where it's like the wrath of God, etc., has been poured out. And these are the things that the wrath of God is. This is the reason for the wrath of God. And slander's in there. So I think for me, it has to be taken seriously, like what's happened. Obviously, we could speak to the grace element of it a little bit later on, but this is a very, very heavy, weighty, serious, divisive thing that was done.
And now slander against believers.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost that intention to cause false division as well. Like to say something that you know is not true. As in, you know that I'm telling a lie.
But I don't think this was the case, though.
I think he thought that he was...
sorry. I think I heard it in the context of, correct me if I'm wrong, got this out. But like, I heard that he basically said Vody was...
There was something to that extent where he apologized.
He knew that wasn't true. He just said it. And he literally, he confessed to say, I'm fabricated. Guys, I'm sorry. How can you fabricate? That's not me. That's not me saying, in her spare time, Mary just goes around like punching people and getting drunk and whatever, doing whatever random stuff. I know that's not true.
Yeah, there was a few,
is that a normal behaviour?
For example, like I think a classic thing he would do, and we could definitely move off of it, is like,
Sorry.
let's say for example there was like
strange.
another conference announced. So let's say there was another, let's call it, I don't know, Fems Conference,
Black Berea Conference.
Black Berea Conference, and then the title, I don't know, is like men and women in the church, you know, and then he will, or his fake accounts would then quote that and then be like, look at the sign of the times, look at the things that this conference is talking about, like, and then
But he'll speak at the conference.
You're preaching at the conference.
No, he wouldn't preach it. So he wouldn't preach
Oh,
the conference.
okay.
It was more like, look what the other side are doing.
Okay.
And obviously then his followers and his acolytes would then take that and be like, see, and that was kind of like a classic thing of what he constantly did. So even when he would, some of his like fellow speakers, it was in the like things that they necessarily didn't agree with, which were not primary things.
Yeah, I get it.
A lot of it were secondary things. And I think that's the lessons that sometimes we can create, like unbiblical dividing lines of like, okay, so you can, we're not talking about heretics, we're not talking about people that preach and like twist the scriptures. We're talking about people that, okay, do you believe this thing and I don't believe it? Like, you know, I don't know, you believe you can speak in tongues, I don't believe it. Oh my days, kill them. It's like, no, like that doesn't mean you can't strive for unity. And I think a lot of those things happen online where, and this is where, I remember like a couple of years ago, going through like our followers and like who, and people we followed to begin with. And I just had to, I was like, unfollow on every side. Like, and then my timeline was just so toxic. I was like, this is supposed to be
fighting
Christians, but it was feeling like everyone was laying down the gauntlet for every single issue. And it's one thing if it's like, oh, you said Jesus is not God. Okay, let's go. But it was also the smallest things, like, why are you fighting? Like, this is the biggest hill to die on. And I think a lot of the times these issues come where there's a lot of division and it creates disunity when it shouldn't have.
Do you think this might be... Oh, sorry, again.
No, it's okay.
I was going to say, do you think... I just see, again, from my perception anyway, I feel like American Christianity is quite political.
Yeah.
And... I mean, they might not describe it like that, but from what it comes across as, it's super political. And there's like, it's not just, I'm a Christian, I believe Jesus is God, I believe he died, I believe all those things, I resurrected this. Okay, I believe all these things, so I also need to believe
the other things.
So actually, the anti-abortion, I need to believe all lives matter, I need to believe this. And if you don't come under this long list of things, very similar to like, Republican and Democrat, like, okay, I'm a Republican, for example, or I'm a conservative, and so I need to have every single tick box. As soon as I come out of this tick box, then I am no longer in the fold. And it just seems like that with America, a lot of the time with American Christianity. And I think even when it comes out of America, it just seems like we're super influenced. Like, so even when I had conversations with some people that kind of hold to some of those similar beliefs, you could tell like the people that they're influenced by are American. Like a lot of the influence is like an American. And that could be a broad statement. I understand that, but it just seems like that to me because I really don't understand it. What I was gonna say a lot earlier was like, Zoe, you were saying you were surprised that he's talking about his friends or people that you know. That doesn't surprise me because it's a slippery slope. Because it's again like we've been saying, as soon as it can start off like, oh, those people over there, until your elder on your team disagrees with one of your opinions, and then it becomes right close. Because it's all a slippery slope. If you keep on making it so, if you make something so tribal, and not tribal in a good way, as in we're all believers, so we're all part of one family, not that kind of tribal, but tribal as in this specific beliefs on these specific things. Of course, like again, it doesn't surprise me. Having a burner account surprised me, but what he's saying or how he feels is not surprising in the slightest.
I think
it's a bit of a shame.
That part I hear, and I can, I think, I can see that a lot in real life, quote unquote, how that can happen. It's the burner thing for me.
The burner thing is so bizarre. The burner thing
to be complimenting yourself is strange, but regardless, I think one thing could learn from it is just how like. Stand is a big sin, and when you give the devil one something, he'll take everything. So if it's like, I don't like this, and we kind of give into like a divisive spirit, you might find yourself doing things that you'd never think you would do or say or whatever, because you can't. Sin is not good. You need to guard against it. It's not good, and I think often it's not. I was reminded like a different context today, like. We don't wrestle against like flesh and blood and stuff. And I think a lot when it comes to divisiveness and bitterness and slander, it's and resentment. There's a lot of interpersonal, like whatever, and it's like,
Yeah.
guys, we actually have the same enemy here.
Yeah.
The temptation we're fighting against is division, is bitter. That's something we should be shared in, rather than you lot over there. Of course, it's easier said than done, but I think this is obviously a very extreme situation, or the way it is a very extreme picture of something that happens all the time.
And also, I think like the path is narrow, but the path is also narrow in social media. And so when we have like division, envy, like you said, bitterness, all of those things, I think there's an element of social media that thrives off it.
Yeah.
The retweets, the comments. If I'm being completely honest, I've seen like countless. We spoke about some of these countless conflicts between two different factions of people, or whatever. And sometimes I'm like, okay, what's he going to say next? There's a part of you that's like, okay, and that's an issue. Like that's an issue. So I think, like
we are drawn
the devil.
to beef.
Doesn't help out.
We're drawn to exactly.
It doesn't help out
like,
witness.
It doesn't. And I think the devil wants like division. Like he wants chaos. And if you look at Ephesians 4, like it talks about the idea of unity and growing up into manhood and maturity all together as one. And that's not going to happen with people just going at each other. It's definitely not going to happen with burner accounts.
Also, the Bible says like where there is like I think it's like self-ambition and bitterness, or self-ambition and jealousy, you'll find every type of evil. Where those two things are there, every type of evil will be underneath it. I just feel like, again, it's that there's something I think we can all in different ways lack discernment as to like, who is the enemy? What is the warfare? What is it? It can't be, it's not flesh and blood that we're fighting. And I feel like, I wonder if, I guess in all our lives, just take that into account when we're tempted to become divisive.
For sure. Because I think even with, because what you were saying about just how we like almost revel in it. And I think I remember seeing like someone this week talking about like, don't respect Christian leaders who all they're known for is trashing other Christians. Like some people have built ministries,
your whole platform.
It's just insult.
Like
It's
tear
crazy.
down. Like even you have a debate that's not even primary.
That's red flag for me.
That's a big red flag for me.
That's
Like
a
if your
red
whole
flag for me.
ministry is just, and of course, if we want to go and fight the heretics, I'm backing you all day. But if like everything, and there's no teaching, no encouragement, everything is just negative.
Like these pastors or these pastors, it's like, come on, man.
Don't you hate it when Christians?
Don't you hate it when?
Why is that? Yeah.
Why
is that the angle?
Like, why is that always your content?
Not every week.
No, it
Like
can't.
once in a while.
That can't be your main. This can't be your main
Every
platform. Like it's just, why are you the only chief fighter? Like we don't need, like, when no one asks you to be fight the world or even fight the church type inside.
And to be honest, a lot of time, especially when pastors, and that's like a pet peeve of mine, when they do it constant. Not if they do it once in a while, but if it's constant, it's like you only ever really do that to big up oneself or one's doctrine or one's way of doing things. Like these people or this pastor, blah blah blah. Why are you saying it's to big up self, like yourself, really and truly? Because you're saying that I'm doing it the right way, or we're doing it the right way. These pastors over there or these people over there, they're doing their own thing. I'm doing it the right way. And again, I think there's a place for that. And that's the question I was going to ask. Because there's an age-old debate in terms of should Christians call out other Christians in public spaces and blah, 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 blah. Is that right? Is that wrong? It's not even necessary to get into that debate, but it does bring the question, because I guess as I've matured, I've also just been like, a lot of the time it's not necessary. Like a lot of the time it does more harm than good. And I do think there is a space for calling out, because there's another thing, I don't know if he was going to get into it, about this Tiffany Montgomery person beefing with...
Jackie
O'Perry and the Perrys, both of the Perrys, to be fair.
Preston will stand up for his wife.
I've not seen.
No,
I've not seen it, but
I think the beef is actually between Preston and her.
Oh, it's between her and Preston. Okay.
But Jackie, I think it's both of them. Anyway,
Jackie
but it's quite a long story short. Tiffany's upset because Preston or Jackie or both of them called her a false prophet. And so she's going back saying blah blah blah. She's throwing back a lot of other stuff, and it's just going back and forth. I don't know how much back and forth actually. It's more on her Tiffany's side, going. And I'm like, okay, could this be avoided? Who's this helping? Like, who's this beef helping?
Why is it online? Why can't it?
Okay, but then it is me saying that the Perrys shouldn't have called a false prophet. Publicly, at least publicly. Should I say? Would that have solved it? Even if they thought it privately. Would it have solved it if the Perrys just never called her a false prophet?
But would it have solved what?
Then,
what is the problem you're trying to solve?
Yeah.
Not having beef on the internet. Like, not having Christians just beefing.
But if they think that she's a false prophet, they probably don't think she's a Christian.
So I guess maybe part of my question there is that idea of like Christians, because a lot of us will have issues with that, but if we can try to pinpoint what is the issue of Christians beefing on the internet? What's our concern about that?
That's the question. And I guess I'll start I think if there's purpose it's not beef. Beef is the wrong word. No one should be beefing over
disagreement.
The internet. No one should be beefing on the internet. But if there's a disagreement, I think there should be. It has to be constructive. Okay. Like there's a reason. So like
purposeful.
I'm not against a Christian calling out. I'm not even against a Christian calling out another Christian, or definitely someone that is not a Christian, or they believe not to be Christian. I'm not against that. Publicly, I'm not against that idea.
I think the Bible would even argue about public rebuke for elders potentially if they're walking in error.
Yeah.
So there are like scriptures that may be helpful for the benefit of the body.
Exactly.
So like I don't know if your pastor on Sunday just said, guys, I was just reading the scriptures and I'm just convinced like it's not just grace, it's works.
Yeah.
I think the following Sunday someone would rebuke him.
Need to rebuke him. Yeah. So I think there's a place for it. 100%.
That's why I think the issue is that a lot of what people have disagreements on aren't always the big things. And that's why with my examples, I'm always careful to make sure it's like, let's use extreme issues as opposed to someone saying that, I don't know, I think that men should always work and women shouldn't. Like, that's not always the biggest thing.
So that's not worth beefing over the internet for? Is that what you're saying?
For me personally, why are we on the internet? Like, disconnect the internet and just go and talk to each other. Like, go sit down on a coffee, put the cameras away and have a conversation.
What is it about the internet that brings up the question for us?
Because I think sometimes the disagreement doesn't always necessarily need to be public. And I think, of course, if it's something in a church context or like Tiffany and I don't even know these people, but like that's a phone call that can happen. We don't need followers and all your people to know it. Like that doesn't need to be the case. And I think a lot of the times when people do that is because they want to get their followers to support them and get and then it becomes something bigger than it needs to be. And that's the issue. And I think once you do that, then there can be the temptation to be unnecessarily divisive. Like we're actually called to dwell in unity. And if that's constantly happening, if there's always like infighting, how will the world even know that we love each other? Like, if it's always constantly you man are beefing, like that's why I think there's always some things, and even in small things, like you might hear, oh, sister said this about you, and it's like, oh, what did she say? And it's like, bro, pick up the phone and call her. Like, not everything has to be walk around.
She said.
Yeah, like those are the things like gossip and misunderstandings and all these other things are like,
cowardice.
Yeah, the enemy kind of thrives on confusion and misunderstanding. Is like, no, sit down with the person, look them eye to eye, and have conversations, and you might be able to resolve it.
Am I the only one that sometimes thinks like, what's the actual point?
Like,
are you really going to change someone else's mind?
I'm telling you, I'm not even replying to you, bro.
Yeah. No, but I'm talking about even. Sorry, no, go on.
No, sorry, continue.
No, I was just going to say, even if I disagree with you, or especially publicly, I'm probably not going to want to look wrong anyway. That's number one. And number two, I'm quite like, not everyone, but the average person is set in what they believe and what they think. And okay, cool. I call Femi or I call Zoe. We have a conversation about this or that. How likely is it that one of us is going to walk away saying, okay, I've changed whatever I was thinking before, I've dropped it. I guess I'm referring to like maybe theological issues or something like that. Obviously, if someone calls someone else out for a different issue, that's something else. But if I disagree with someone on social media, I'm just asking myself, how likely is it that I'm going to change my... I
don't know if that's a reason in itself to not turn something. Because if it was important, again, I think what Mary's saying about in terms of, is it important in terms of, are we talking about men going to work and women staying at home? Or are we talking about,
did the resurrection happen?
Yeah, exactly.
How would you measure importance? How would you guys... What are biblical measures for importance?
Primary, tertiary, gospel,
gospel
issues,
gospel issues.
Because in that case, because I think you could think about, okay, how effective is this thing, or what are the right reasons to call something X, Y, Z? I think obviously I know we're not speaking specific about the situation because I don't know anything about it with the Perrys and this other person, but like I can imagine someone being like, the reason I'm saying this is because it's almost like to preserve the Christ witness. So if you are using your two lips to say that Jesus, you're claiming to represent Christ and you're saying something catastrophically terrible, like, I don't know, whatever it is, then I can see how even if you don't think it's effective in the sense that your goal might not be to change that person's mind, but almost to say, we want to be almost like how you would in a church discipline way. But I get how it's not a church, number one, as in we're part of the church, but it's not a church discipline issue in a way. But you almost want to call out, this is not in line with Christ. And it's catastrophic. It's not even like, it's so anti-Christ. And I get why. Again, that's why I was asking questions, because I'm actually asking myself, like, what is about the internet? Something about it being public, i.e., not just public between believers. Like, Peter calling out. Who called out Peter? Paul calling out Peter and being like, "Why are you doing that?" Like, that's not consistent. But yeah, that's not in front of a watching world, as it were.
And that was a gospel issue.
And that was a gospel issue. But if it was in front of, I guess, on social media and the internet, that's a big thing, right? We can't control who the audience is. It's for everybody. And in that case, I think the question still needs to be answered, not by us, but I think people need to ask themselves the question, what is the purpose of me doing this? Is this a gospel issue? And assess it, like, is this to do with my pride? Like, ask for counsel. And there'll be times when you go through that and the answer is yes, you need to make this statement on socials. And there'll be many times where it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you guys made that clarifying comment. I should have rephrased what I said earlier to say social, tertiary and secondary issues. What's the point? Yeah. Gospel issues. Yeah.
But even with secondary and tertiary, it depends. If it's
Can you say what that is, by the way? Not everyone. That is.
Okay, I'm just what would be an example. So primary doctrines would say are things that if you don't believe this, we could confidently say you're not a Christian.
We don't believe Jesus.
For example,
is the Son
Jesus
of God.
died. Jesus is the Son of God. Jesus resurrected.
Virgin birth. Things that are just like, things that are like.
No one disagrees.
I think secondary is like.
She said, duh. No, not dispute. I meant to say, like, there's an agreement that if you don't believe this,
you're not Christian.
Yeah, I think secondary is probably more, we might not go to the same church.
Yeah. And then like, tertiary issue could be something like,
but we still think we're believers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But do you baptize your children, or do you?
Would you say that's secondary?
Tertiary. I think that's secondary. Then.
No, I'd
say that's secondary.
That's tertiary.
I mean, secondary and tertiary, it just depends.
It depends.
What is the distinction? Basically, our point is that primary. The point is that primary. That's the point. That's the most important thing to define here in this context. But I still think that's worth.
So let's say, for example, like you have a secondary issue. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example.
Infant baptism.
Let's say infant baptism. Yeah. And then so that you might have a disagreement with a brother, and I might not convince you that, you know, baptize babies or don't baptize babies, but we should still live in unity. Is the driving motivation. So it's not about like, have I won the argument? It's like, are we able to fellowship with one another? And I think those are the things that you have to have in your mind. And a lot of the times it feels like, no, if you don't believe the same thing as me, we can't fellowship. And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Which is okay with primary issues. Yes. But not with secondary
issues. That actually plays, going back to Zoe's question though, because that plays out on the internet, because I'm very like, a lot of my feed is like a lot of apologetic stuff, a lot of debate stuff, right? But that does play out on the internet, but that can still play out healthily. As in healthy debate between
100%.
Christians that educates. Because I've been educated by it. Like even talks about infant baptism. I've watched like video where it's good to hear different points of view, or even like debates between Catholics and Protestants and stuff like that, and like having those debates, even though that's a whole other thing, because maybe Catholics might not think we're not Christians, and some Protestants don't think Catholics are Christians. But that's a whole other debate. But even those kinds of debates, it can be done in a healthy way, like over the internet. I think it's a lot of the time it's just a heart behind, and even sometimes. It's a lot tougher when it's a primary issue, 100%. But you can still have constructive conversations about things, even primary issues, where if it's done in a healthy way and in a loving way, that it can still be helpful. That's why when you asked the question about like over the internet, I was like, it just depends on what it is. Like if we're beefing, that's why we make the distinction. If we're beefing, then that's where the problem lies, right? But if it's like a constructive question, okay, we disagree, let's talk about it. Like I think we can encourage.
Should be able to do that.
I wish there was more of that on socials.
That's made me think that again, that it sounds like the issue we're saying is that if there's something really problematic about, even as a witnessing issue, about making it or acting or reacting as if something is a fundamental issue when it's not, because that's a terrible witness. So if my fundamental issue is, let's say, I don't know, what's it, not a fundamental issue.
Church.
Yeah, oh Lord.
Actually,
Anyway,
what's below tertiary? That's where
that's under the floor. Yeah, but stuff like that, and you're making it, you're reacting, as if it's primary. The witness to the world is not, forget the fact that, okay, believers are divisive, forget that. They think, okay, so this is the most important thing to these people. This is the crux of us. So that's a terrible message. And then it undermines what is primary. Yeah. And so when people are like, is Jesus really the Son of God? People will be like, oh, they fight about everything. No, please, let's fight about that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah, like,
and it's weird because it shows how satanic division is, because I don't know if you've ever been like in a church context and you're speaking about something like inconsequential and it feels like it's the biggest thing in the world, and then it's like you're at loggerheads and sometimes I'm always reminded many times the devil is scheming, guys. The devil is scheming, or like you might talk to a brother about something and it's like something small happened. I don't know, maybe someone didn't greet you, or someone didn't wish you happy birthday, and then they're just so upset. And of course, you might the upset is valid in some ways. But the response feels like it's gonna be, and it's
like the devil's at work.
The devil's at work. And even like members meetings at times, like you might be at a members meeting and one person thinks you should paint the walls red and someone else thinks you should paint it white.
Is that what happens at the meetings?
You just start to see this back and forth, and it's like, and then people start looking at each other a bit away, and it's like, wait, where's the tension? And it's like the devil again. It's like
the devil's actually at work.
I'm not saying obviously the devil's in everything, but I do think we underestimate the importance of church unity.
Yeah.
And that was one of my questions, because I think Louis, you quoted Ephesians 4. I was thinking of how beautiful it is when the brethren dwell in unity. I think that's Psalms 133. And I was actually checking that there's so many scriptures in the New Testament, especially in Ephesians, that talk about unity. So if I just pick one, like 1 Corinthians 1:10, I appeal to you, brothers, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you agree, and that there'll be no divisions among you, but that you'll be united in the same mind and the same judgment. Like, why do you guys think, like, in the local church context or in the church context more broadly, like, church unity is something that's always, like, even when I was thinking about the role of elders and deacons, is that church unity is kind of a kind of current theme throughout, that the deacons are supposed to support the pastors so that they would maintain church unity. Guys, why do you guys think your church unity is so important in the church?
So many reasons, man. I think it's a massive witness. So even if I look at our church, and the difference in people, culture, upbringings, the ways of doing life can be so vast and so different, but we're all brought together under one house, one family, because we believe the same thing. And that's why, and that's an amazing witness. Again, not even to necessarily, you get it in Christianity as well, actually, to be fair, before I even compare it to other religions, but you get this kind of idea that to be part of this family or part of this religion or part of this belief, you have to conform in everything, in every way. Whereas Christianity, the beauty of what we believe and why we need to highlight what is primary. This is what important. Why it emphasizes why we need to highlight what's primary, what draws us together, and less about what brings us apart. Is because we are bonded as family, as brothers and sisters, by those primary beliefs. And I think that's beautiful, and I think it does wonders for our witness. I'm sure there's loads of other reasons why unity is important, but that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Is it another reason why churches historically used to read creeds so that the church would be aware of what they believe? And I went to a church in Dubai where they read a creed and they had like members like what they've committed to agree as one to another. And it was actually beautiful.
I so love it.
Had the members like stand up and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. But the reason why you had creeds is so like we all what do we believe?
We're all on the same page,
So when we read it, so then we know, okay, this is the important stuff, as opposed to like, oh, pastor, this person doesn't park in the same place we park every week. And that's why it's so important, so that you are unified in the core like doctrines of the faith, like the things that are important and that Christ kind of encourages us to uphold and defend. Why do you guys think church unity is important, division is bad? I don't know how you want to phrase it.
I think, probably similar reasons. I think it's a witness to the world, but also Christianity is very hard, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but it's hard to be a believer. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not the same direction as well. It's tough, and it's not designed to be done like in isolation. So I think even though there's something about unity as a witness for the believer, whereby it's like we are doing this together. We have this common enemy. We've got this common goal. We're all striving. I'm down. I'm rolling around the floor. I'm crying. I'm saying I'm going to leave this faith. You say I love you, but you need to pick up your cross and go. And like, we need to do. You can't just float. Like it doesn't. You know, God's grace can really keep us, but I'm trying to say like that's not the design. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's almost like when there's disunity, it's extra painful because it's like, but guys, we love the same Lord. Like it's just, I think as a witness for the believers, it's very discouraging when there's division. Yeah. I also think like, although I don't know if this is an answer, but I think Jesus prayed about it. He prayed that the church would be reunited. There's something that the Lord really, really values and finds so like to get a glimpse into the prayers of the Son to the Father, to be like, make them one as me and you are one. Why is that so important to him? And I don't know if he answers that. Maybe, you know, just it's to reflect him. Like God is free and he is unified and he's different. Like there's different persons, but they're one. And there's something God-like about difference becoming one. There's something about that, whether it's a marriage or whether the church, that reflects the nature and the beauty of God. I feel like that's even though I don't know why, but I feel like that must mean something, you know?
I think negative is if when a church is unified, it's very easy to spot when people bring disagreements and division. So I think there's a lot of scripture that talks about like, warn that brother if he keeps becoming,
warn him once, warn him twice after that.
And it's like, avoid people that are always
like this,
bringing quarrels and beef
controversies.
And controversies. So it's like, we're all unified, and it's like, why is it always this brother? That's always have to do with him. Like, and I think it feels so simple, but like if we're so unified,
it's easier to see.
It's like, what's this? Why is this woman always warn her and then
say it's enough?
You don't be careful, we're gonna get rid of you here. Because it's so important. And I think when Paul was writing the letters, it's so true. Like if we're all unified, when like Satan's literally trying to plant seeds, you
can see it helps with your discernment.
And I think
if we're all divided, then you can't see. It's like, is that it's not good.
Yeah, I was going back to Ephesians 4 again. I know I quoted it earlier, but so he starts off Ephesians 4 by saying, I therefore urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you've been called. And then later on, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. And then he goes on to speak about unity. And I guess the therefore comes from the end of chapter 3, where he says, small Bible study.
Break the text.
Break the text down. So from verse 20, now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than we ask or think, according to the power at work within us, to him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations. I guess I read that because I sometimes look at those verses as I think about my life. I think about things that I want. I think about like just like where I am at the moment. And I think, okay, God can do more than I ask or think. But in those verses, they're not isolated verses. So Paul's like, listen, like walk in this manner, strive for unity, because in striving for unity, God can do so much with that. And God's glory in the church can be realized either now and obviously in the future in ways that we won't be able to quantify. So I guess we should strive for unity because God's glory is displayed when we are unified, and it's not just now, but it's also in the future as well.
It just reminds me of that whole thing of like, can two walk together if not agreed? So if you can do so much more if you're in agreement. Like if a church is of one mind, like this is our mission, this is what we want to do, this is where we want to go. Like if we're all in agreement, we're gonna go there. But if we're all like, actually no, why? Who said we should do this and who agreed and it's like you're not necessarily going to progress.
Exactly.
You spoke about Ephesians 4, and I was going to quote verse 31 to 32 because we've spoken about slander and bitterness. So it talks about let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor. I don't really know what clamor means. You can
like swingers. I'm just like,
and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you. So like that whole thing about Paul warning about like bitterness, wrath, anger, slander. Like why is that like? him even saying put that away is almost that assumption that you're gonna have it. Basically. Be there. Yeah. So how important is our speech and how we think about and how we treat one another in the church?
Do you know what that just reminded me of? There's a verse in Proverbs, and it's a prayer, and it's like, guard my lips from saying anything that might like tear someone else down. And I guess if you go back to like the New Testament, you think of Jesus in Luke, where he talks about out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So the fact that he's saying guard my lips is, I guess, testament to the fact that it's probably something being produced in his heart, or in our hearts that shouldn't be there.
No, that was my guy, man. This guy just bought me a drink. Sorry.
No, go on.
So I just exercised and I'm exhausted. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mary played football earlier.
DB Studios.
It could have been football, could have been basketball.
We'll take that off the fee, innit?
All right, keep it. So what were you saying? Yeah.
Out of the mouth.
Out of the heart.
So I think for me, speech, I guess the idea is that we should probably watch what we say, because it's a reflection of what's already in our hearts. At least if we don't say something that we shouldn't say, it helps. It may not resolve like the issue completely, because it's still something that we need to work on. But to not say what we shouldn't say, things that could be divisive, things that could cause, another brother to be in distress or whatever. I'm trying to think. I've completely lost my train of thought. But I guess what I'm trying to say is just like watch what we say, innit?
and how easy it is.
Yeah.
Because even things I've tried to practically do in the last couple of years is be factual in how I present what people have said. So I'm always like, let me be fair. Like, I think this is what they meant, and this is, even if they said this is, I think, what they were trying to, like, just being very accurate with what people say, especially when they're not there. So I remember like having a conversation with someone and just disagreeing with them, and it wasn't a primary thing. It was like more like, should men do this? Should women do this? Like very basic. I remember like running to my friend, like, how could he say this? And she was like, oh, what did he say? And I was just like, what did he, like, say it properly, like say it factually. And I think it's so important, because like God loves truthfulness, and it could have been easy to just like disparage the person and be like, what an idiot, and like, he's so stupid, and and it's like, no, like that's not how we should speak about people that Christ died for. And we should be so careful not to misrepresent someone or misrepresent their position, and even things like when you're debating someone, and I see this online all the time, and it's like, that's not what they believe. Like, that's not what, like,
straw man.
Yeah, like that's not what they believe. Like, let's be like, if you're gonna say stuff like that, man. If you're gonna say someone doesn't believe this,
let me agree with your definition of what I believe.
Be gracious
first.
to actually represent their case. If you have a disagreement with someone, like, oh, they said this behind your back, like, say what they said, because when you now stand in front of them, you're not afraid.
I think even more, well, I'm not gonna say more important, but very important along with that, I think Paul knows how like easily offended we all are. Like, we really are. Like, we're all super easily
sensitive.
Wait, so sensitive. Like, we're quick to like take offense.
Yeah, facts.
Like, and that, what better place for us to take offense in the church with a bunch of people that have different views, different upbringings, different cultures, not able to control their speech, like Louis was talking about, or maybe the way they brought up speaking things, or maybe they didn't present your argument. Like, there's just so many ways to take offense in the church setting. And again, this is like, for want of a better word, enforced family. This is not like your brothers and sisters.
Forced, naturally.
Yeah, these are your brothers and sisters that your actual sibling. These are brothers and sisters that your siblings because you believe the same thing, not because you even like each other or you have things
same
in common
or
things in common or anything. We've been enforced, these guys on us, right? So it's easy to, I think it's just easy to take offense. Really, and I think, Paul's warning against that, like, be forgiving, be tender-hearted, be. And I think that's something like through what I try to do. Not bigging myself up too much, because someone could actually criticize me for it, and I probably have been criticized for it. But I really try to give people the benefit of the doubt to a fault sometimes. But I think that's helpful.
There's a scripture there: love hopes all things, believes all things.
There you go. There you go.
That's Corinthians 13.
I really try to, and sometimes undeservedly. Like, sometimes they might not deserve the benefit of the doubt. But I want to do that, especially with people that I don't like I don't know their intentions, or I don't know. I just want to, right? And if I'm proven wrong, I'm proven wrong. But I think it's a good place to be, especially when you're amongst people.
Love doesn't rush to the worst possible conclusion. But it doesn't even. Sometimes love doesn't even accept. It doesn't accept that the worst possible. It will do everything until it cannot deny that, okay, this is the actual problem. Do you know what I mean? And obviously love is truth, so it shouldn't. If you find out that in order to feel love and you have to deny that something's wrong, then maybe there's something a bit off there. But I feel like that sense of like love pursues the best. It's like it will almost refuse to be like, no, they couldn't. Like it refuses to. It doesn't easily just pick up the worst answer. It's like, no, I will fight until I could do nothing else. But it's just what I mean, like.
And even then, still have a heart to want to forgive or to show grace. Again, we talk about witness. Again, from an observant eye, it's like, oh, these Christians just let people walk all over them, or they're doormats, or they're too blah blah blah. But I think that's a true showing of love, man. Like, being able to do that. But so that's what I take. That's what I take from it.
I think.
I think we're more ready to take offense than to give offense sometimes. Facts.
I was gonna say, I think it's so important because it reflects it. I guess how we speak reflects what's going on in our heart, and what's going on in our heart should reflect what we've experienced from the Lord. So I'm saying, like, I guess when we speak about the word witness, we're saying this is what I have seen Jesus do this. I'm a witness that this person is alive and he's working in me. Part of how I display that witness, part of what makes that message easy to believe is how I treat people, is what I say. Because it's reflecting that there's something in my heart that, so almost like I've received grace from the Lord, therefore you're gracious, and therefore your speech is gracious. Like, obviously I'm not saying that we're perfect, but I think there's a responsibility there, right? Christians are people that are basically committed to saying, I'm going to reflect Christ to people. And so I think it's a serious thing when sin is basically just not doing that. Either because you're not gracious or because you're whatever. Any sin is basically just, it's not reflecting the heart of Christ in an area. And that could also look like, that could also look like being cowardly and being like, oh, like everything's fine and I just love. And actually it's like, this is sinful and evil and wicked, and this just stop it. Like being sincere. But so I think it's important because we're supposed to be like him, and it's easier for people to believe the gospel when it's being spoken by people who've been changed by it.
Definitely.
So I just googled clamor.
What is it?
Or in the King James dictionary,
clamor, swingers. What is it?
An outcry or protest.
Oh,
so obviously like all bitterness, wrath, anger, and clamor. So always, kind of what you're saying about how
always campaigning.
Quick we are to just be like, "Can you see what they've done? Come and see." You know the whole thing about town criers. You're so quick to tell everyone what that brother did. Like even things like, okay, someone's apologized to you, you've forgiven them, but then
you're going around.
Why? Like you've told 19 people, bro. We didn't miss
the whole church was no.
To be fair, they should. I'm joking, but we didn't mention the bitterness thing, like. How easy is bitterness able to kind of spring up in our hearts? I think obviously slander is easy. We can just very easily misrepresent someone. Bitterness, like even anger. Like why is that something that can happen in the life of believers? Because bitterness always feels like a deep-seated. You haven't wrestled with something that's building your heart and it's creating. Obviously, sometimes when people think of bitterness, they always think of like you've been wronged. And you're struggling to forgive, but there's also like bitterness that can sometimes crop up because you're really battling internally a view of someone and you're not thinking the best, believing the best.
So I actually had an interaction with bitterness yesterday in myself, which is not something I've really consciously experienced before. And I was saying something, I was in a conversation, and the things that left my mouth, I said, there's a problem there. Now, I think for me, it's definitely being like coming to terms with being very offended and being whatever. I'm someone that can struggle to identify when someone has been harmful or has done something bad to me. I'm likely to. This is why, I guess in talking about the love versus truth, or not versus, but that thing, I think sometimes I could be so I don't want to make it black and white because it's not. It's complicated. A lot of it comes out of the Holy Spirit makes us loving, but there's also people pleasing. There's also just your life experiences that might make you feel like, oh, I can't confront all of that stuff. So I had basically only recently had to confront the reality that, oh, this person actually did something harmful and that was intentional and it was bad, whatever else. But I think because I'd suppressed that for so long for different reasons, it's like I could taste, I was literally like, I could taste the anger, the rage. I don't, first of all, I don't like that. I'm just talking as a person. I don't like being angry. I don't like that feeling. I don't like it. But sometimes to avoid that feeling, I will then deny reality, be like, oh, it just doesn't help. So I think it's a fresh topic. That's why I'm bringing it up. But one thing, wait, hold on. What was the question? Oh, why can it come up?
I don't know.
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah.
So it made me think that, actually, it can come up because I think it does have to do with something not being confronted. And I think we can be angry, and I think anger is often, not often actually, I think humans, we distort everything, but I think anger can be a reflection of there's injustice here and there's like you're made in God's image, you reject, you know the truth on some level, you know that was wrong or this shouldn't have happened, whatever else. And that's fine. But bitterness is not fine. Bitterness is not, there's no, God is not bitter. God is very angry. God's not bitter. I feel like bitterness there's something very, I don't know how much I've come to terms with it before. Like I was really shocked yesterday. It almost actually felt like, you know when you taste like bile in your mouth, like you're going to be, I literally felt like, yeah, it was horrible. And I was, no, but genuinely, I was literally like, rah, Zoe. I said, I can't live like this. I said, take that thing to the ground. I can't do it. But it made me think that I had an opportunity there to sit in it, drink it, live in it, roll around in it, and feel so justified, because it almost was like no one can tell me anything now because I've been so gracious to the point. Like it's almost like no one can say, oh, Zoe, you're doing too much now, because no one's ever heard me say anything like this before. It's a news. It's not something. Some people, the way they speak in general, you're kind of like, oh, okay, they're just saying it again and again and again. They might say everyone's horrible, everyone's this. But some people you feel like, for this person to say, there's something really wrong. But I think there was a self-righteousness there of me being like, I can say anything I want. No one can tell me anything because no one can say that I'm not gracious or whatever. There was a real temptation to go there. And I think
I'm allowed to have my moment.
I'm allowed to have. And I think there is a truth in terms of you're allowed to accept reality and you're allowed to be angry, but you can't sin. And I think, I remember thinking, if I almost got a glimpse into what it might be like for people who struggle with bitterness as a more of a recurrent sin or whatever, whereby it's like if you let that thing fester, it can consume you. But I think, with God's help, we can take. I think we need to have, me and my friend talking about today, we need to have boundaries for how we think, how we process information, how we feel. So almost to say, whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm thinking has to be in the confines of God exists, God is good, this person's a believer, this person has the Holy Spirit. Everything I feel has to be processed through these sharp boundaries. Otherwise, I think the devil is so devilish. Like, do you know what I mean? Like he really will be like, did God really say? Yes, scheming. Devil is a liar. And I made me think, wow, like, that was such a temptation to give into the bitterness. I did at a point, but I thought, wow, if I sat in this thing will consume. I could kill someone. I just thought, wow, that sounds so far-fetched. But I was like, I get anger, murder, gang. Like, I get it. And that was alarming to me because it's not something I always experience, but it gave me some insight this much into what it might be like for people who battle it more regularly.
And we also think, thank God for the Spirit who convicts of sin, because
I also had a friend who said,
I see
you need to process it. She said, you can't stay here. She said, you can't stay in this place. And I said,
the watching world, like being bitter, being angry, having clamor, like slander are things that are appropriate in its rightful settings. And people will be like, if you'll just do it. And it's like, as a disciple, like the Spirit actually says, no, like we're controlled. These are all negative things. Like when Paul is saying it to the church at Ephesus, he's saying, you put these things away. And then he actually contrast them with like tender-heartedness, like forgiveness. I'm trying to think of the other things he said. Being kind to one another, forgiving one another. So it's like the remedy of these things, which the world could easily think is fine, is actually no. You have to really,
opposite,
and especially because it says, "As God in Christ forgave you." So if we're thinking about our forgiveness, then it is a source to love one another, really, isn't it?
And I think I'm gonna stop talking about this. I'm talking too much, sorry, but I think it's also
podcast. You have to talk.
I think it's also part of why the Holy Spirit makes it clear that this is the fruit of the flesh, this is the fruit of the Spirit, is because it also helps to discern. I'm someone that I don't think I'm very discerning. I think I literally rely on being like, okay, what is the Bible? Because I don't get things a lot. But I think you can tell, like, okay, is this the fruit? When there's no side effects of the Holy Spirit. So what I mean by that is, like, you know how it says, like, love is this, love is that. Like, against these things, there's no law. There's no, when you, let's say, forgive something in the power of the Holy Spirit, if it was to be pure, I'm sure, like, obviously the Holy Spirit covers all of our sins or whatever. But when it's purely, there's not a side effect of resentment. The resentment or the bitterness tells us, oh, there's something that's not coming from the Lord. This, even if it looks like I've been forgiven or it looks like I've been lovely and gracious, this resentment is telling me something that this is not coming from the Lord. I'm not drawing on the Lord's forgiveness and his grace towards me. It's not coming from that place. Or at least it's fully not coming from that place. So I feel like even Paul listing those things is like it's a red flag, but in a good way. It shows us, oh, I need to tap into more. Let me make sure that the reason I'm still speaking to this person, or the reason I'm still forgiving, or whatever the outcome is because Jesus died for me. And let that be my source and not any other story I can make up, or what the world told me, or trauma, or what social media said, because then you'll get lost. Yeah.
100%. Hey, sound bites.
Any last thing, closing remarks? I mean, obviously social media usage, how we speak about people, the internet.
Stay off the burner account.
Get you.
Stay off social media sometimes, man.
Yeah, take breaks.
Yeah, take breaks.
I mean, God is gonna hold you accountable for what you say, like what you tweet,
Every word
what you
that we
Instagram, what you DM. Like, God sees everything.
Not DMs.
Because even what you said about, I love DMs. Even that thing you said about, you're not surprised because this is a reflection of the person's heart, and I think that's true. Like, who you are online is just a representation of who you are offline. So yeah, it's really and it's a good way to search your hearts. Like, it's so easy to look at that person and think, oh, how could he do this? But
even as I was speaking, I'm like,
those are the
I
same
hear
sins we wrestle with. Maybe we won't go
Every
and create a burner account, but maybe we'll kill the person in our hearts. Like, maybe we'll murder them with our words. Maybe we'll journal about it and we'll confess it to a close friend and tear them down. But
and also, I guess, just going back to the unity thing, celebrate what makes us believers together. Like, let's
rejoice in it.
Rejoice in what we all believe in, which are the primary things that we spoke about. Less about the secondary and the tertiary. There's places for that. Like we said, there's healthy ways you can discuss things you disagree about, which is fine. I think that's also healthy. But let's celebrate what unifies us. I think that would help a lot of these, discourse and debates and tribalism and all these other things that tend to happen.
Yeah, let's get off the socials, read our Bibles, go to church,
and fellowship with people who will tell you the truth.
Speaking about that at church on Sunday.
Really?
As in, you preached.
You preached.
Yeah, I preached. Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Wait, why are we laughing like that's an impossible?
I was taking it seriously. I was like, wow. And then I saw the way he said,
God has a calling on your life?
I'm definitely not preaching.
You don't think God has a calling on your life?
He has a calling on my life, just not to preach.
He said, I'm a dad, I'm a husband.
Exactly. He has other callings.
You don't pick up the call. How will you know what the calling is?
It's true. Yeah. My phone's on silent. Yeah.
Just don't create burner accounts, honestly.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Don't do it, man.
No, don't do it. Even though I have an account that I don't check.
Maybe.
I said it's not a burner account. I don't tweet from it. I just pre.
Yeah, to be fair, I got Instagram.
I don't tweet. I just pre and retweet.
At the end of 2023, right. But before I had a pre account, I just watched Pixie Carts singing. Then I had my own account. Yeah.
That's my biggest fear, that I'm gonna like come online and I've got like 100 notifications and I'm getting flamed.
Can I be very?
That's generally my as in I'll throw my phone in the bin.
Can I be annoying and ask one last question to end?
Okay, you got it.
What would you say to somebody who has been reckless on socials? They're a believer, they've been reckless, and they're just like, damn, like, I shouldn't have done that. How would we encourage them? if they have been the perpetrators of that?
The past is the past. Nah, because I've probably been reckless on social media. I used to be heavy on Twitter, and sometimes I think, man, I probably like should go through like some of the stuff I tweeted, because like even the way I think now is not how I used to think when I was active on Twitter. I don't use Twitter.
I was literally thinking that on the way here.
I don't use Twitter at all now. But,
yeah, I'd like to see what.
But I used to be active on Twitter. Like Twitter was my thing back in the day. It's funny saying that out loud because I really don't use it at all now. But I used to be proper active on Twitter. So yeah, I've definitely had some things that nothing too crazy, nothing that's gonna make me lose my job. But I probably said some stuff that right now I'll probably cringe at. Right. But yeah, I would say as advice, just take that as a lesson, you know. And I think it's so important to be careful, especially young people. Be careful because you don't know how much your opinions and your views are going to change. Like, as in, I'm telling you, your views and your opinions are going to change. Like, young people that are listening, they are going to change. Like, same way us as still young people, when we 10 years time, well, our views and opinions of things are going to change. So just like, be aware of that, especially when, you know, they say the internet is that you can never, what's the phrase that they use by internet? Like, nothing's ever deleted off the internet. Like, here you can't, you know, it's not going anywhere. So just be wary, man. I'm not saying never tweet. I'm not saying never post. But just you know, be careful. Try not to be controversial for be the sake of being controversial. Yeah, just be mindful. Speak to your brothers and sisters at your church, man. Speak to your, like, especially if you're a content creator. Be under some discipleship or something before you start moving reckless. I don't even know if that answers the question, but yeah, just be careful, man. Yeah, just be aware.
Do you know what you reminded me of? I Show Speed.
Oh, my man.
About maybe 5-6 years ago. I think he tweeted something when he was 16. It was brought up when he was 17. He got flamed and he was like, guys, I'm a changed man. I was 16.
1 year later, poor baby.
I was 16 back then, I'm 17 now.
It's hilarious.
Jokes. But I would also, just to add very briefly, Christ died for your sins, and so Christ died for your reckless tweets, your reckless social media posts, your reckless retweets, your reckless likes, your reckless bookmarks.
Oh yeah, don't forget the favorites, the bookmarks.
Yeah, don't forget those. So yeah, just remember that and keep running to the cross and trust in His forgiveness.
Slow to speak, quick to listen.
Yeah, man.
Slow to get angry.
Slow to anger.
Slow to anger. I was in the comments the other day. I don't normally
Which
do
comments? What do you mean?
I was on the comments
in the BB
TikTok,
comments.
Yeah, on TikTok. Yeah. We were going back and forth, you know. We have to take this offline.
Black Berea?
No. It was about I was giving some compliments and my girlies agreed with me.
Oh, okay. No, my one was we were debating.
What? Oh, you were doing it with like godly reasons. Mine was just very physical, to be fair.
What?
Okay, I hear it.
Come on, physical.
No.
I get what you're saying.
All these complimenting some men that we saw. And the girls agreed with me.
Got you.
But what you were debating for Christ's sake? Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, but come on, man. I'm a big man.
What were you debating?
I'm a big man to be in TikTok comments.
But what were you debating?
Can we do it? Because we got to
Is it offline?
we have to take this offline, which is hilarious because it's really related to what we've been talking about.
Okay, cool.
We could be here for another half an hour.
Fair enough.
I saw a quote
that
said,
I want to hear about this after this.
be difficult to offend.
Be difficult to offend.
I saw that and it was like, wow, I've never seen that before. It's so profound. Anyway. Yeah.
Good way to end, man.
Hey, be difficult to offend.
No burner accounts.
Yeah. Get off the internet. Get in your Bibles.
There you go. Hey, that was Black Berea.
Hey. Bye.